Your brain is hardwired to scan human faces for subtle clues about whether someone wants to buy you a taco or harvest your organs. A clown face is a deliberate, brightly colored act of psychological terrorism designed to completely melt that entire system. If you are a normal person under 40, you have probably never actually stepped foot inside an actual circus. You mostly know clowns as those unhinged, sewer-dwelling horror entities that exist solely to make cinema audiences spill their overpriced popcorn. The fear is not just an internet meme. It is a deep-seated glitch in our natural human instincts caused by a grown adult who wears a permanent, frozen smile while their real eyes look dead, calculating, and slightly hungover. When you look at a regular person, your mind processes their face instantly. You know if a stranger is angry, sad, or trying to sell you a multi-level marketing scheme before they even open their mouth. But a clown is a walking optical hazard. It uses thick white grease paint and giant red shapes to completely overwrite the natural geography of the human skull. Your mind absolutely dreads a blank space. If it cannot read a person's real face, it instinctively expects the worst and assumes the expression hidden underneath involves an axe. The modern fear of clowns actually comes from a very specific psychological phenomenon called the uncanny valley, that incredibly uncomfortable zone where something looks almost human, but just wrong enough to trigger your primal fight-or-flight instincts. It is the exact same reason people get violently creeped out by wax figures, old Victorian porcelain dolls, and those malfunctioning animatronics at cheap theme parks that look like they are actively weeping. A clown takes a standard-issue human body and aggressively distorts all the proportions. They wear shoes that look like 2 giant loaves of French bread, pants that could house a family of 4, and a bright red nose that looks like a localized medical emergency. It is like your eyes are trying to solve a puzzle with pieces from 2 completely different boxes. It is a jarring, confusing riddle that keeps repeating in your consciousness while you try not to make eye contact. If you try to normalize the situation by telling yourself it is just a guy named Gary from accounting who got dressed up for a birthday party, your subconscious does not care. You are trying to calm yourself down during a home invasion by complimenting the burglar's choice of ski mask. The harder you look at that massive fake smile, the more your brain focuses on the terrifying contrast of their actual twitching eyeballs. It feeds on the total lack of matching emotion between the paint and the person. This sensory train wreck gets significantly worse because clowns are structurally allowed to break every single social contract that keeps human civilization from devolving into a Mad Max movie. They can invade your personal space, throw random objects at strangers, honk a horn 3 inches from your nose, and mimic your physical movements without any of the legal or social consequences that Gary would face if he did it in the produce aisle at a grocery store. They are essentially living avatars of pure, unpredictable chaos. A clown can walk up to you and offer you a balloon animal, or they can spray you directly in the face with water from a plastic flower. Your mind is constantly building a mental blueprint of predictable human behavior. It expects people to respect boundaries so everyone can go home and eat pizza in peace. This is why modern horror movies did not actually have to do any creative writing to make the scary clown persona work. They just took the existing circus character, put him in a poorly lit basement, and let our natural evolutionary paranoia do the rest of the heavy lifting. It is that same mental alarm bell ringing again, echoing through your head while you try to calculate whether you can outrun someone wearing oversized bowling shoes. The terror only truly peaks when the clown drops the performance entirely and just stares at you like a normal, quiet human being who has given up on life. When a clown stops juggling, stops honking, and just looks at you with a completely blank expression while still wearing the giant painted grin, the illusion completely shatters because your primal instincts realize you are trapped in a room with a masked predator. The entertainment value of this whole setup was originally built for an era before mass media, back when a colorful weirdo showing up in a muddy town square was the most exciting thing that would happen to a peasant all year. But today, we do not need colorful distractions to escape a boring farm life. We have TikTok, sports, and the internet, which means the clown has been stripped of its original job and left with nothing but its inherently creepy Victorian aesthetic. Animals understand this instinctively. If you put a plastic mask on a dog, its housemates will usually attack it because they no longer recognize the creature behind the fake face. Our fear is just the civilized human version of that exact same canine panic. We see a giant red smile, and our DNA immediately tells us to grab a blunt object. If clowns were actually comforting, we would put them in high-stress environments like dentist offices or hospitals to soothe patients. Instead, we use them as the universal symbol for psychological trauma and cinematic nightmares. So the next time you feel a cold sweat dripping down your spine because a painted face popped up on your streaming service, do not feel embarrassed about being terrified of a party trick. Your mind is just an overstressed bodyguard trying to protect you from masked threats by relying on old, deeply ingrained survival habits that prefer everyone to look normal and predictable. It is just that same ancient warning signal, ringing in the dark, reminding you that a painted smile is rarely a sign of actual mental stability. You cannot really argue with your survival instincts. You can only turn off the screen, lock your doors, and hope the guy in the oversized shoes does not show up in your dreams. If you like this type of videos, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.